If you like full auto machine guns, but you don't got 100 grand to drop on an M16 or an AK or something like that, you're going to want to watch this video because I'm going to get you back up to date on what's going on with the civilian machine gun buying program. Before that, don't forget to shop at OnlyCatFans@Shopify.com, where I do have tourniquets. I have an EDC tourniquet, Snake Staff, and the Cat Gen 7, which is the actual one the military uses. Bam! Put that right on your plate carrier, or if you're just carrying a firearm, the EDC tourniquet's the way to go. I also have awesome branded merchandise, boosh, like this right here. I am permanently demonetized from YouTube and will likely never ever be monetized again, so it's very important that you guys continue to shop there. Anybody that has already shopped there, thank you. And if you're thinking about shopping there, here's a thank you in advance. But let's get into the video. Just a quick recap what's going on. West Virginia is facing collapse for a whole bunch of different reasons. The coal jobs, while they're not necessarily like gone, they've definitely changed. A lot more things are automated, a lot less people are being employed. That makes a big difference. Next one, old population. Across the country, West Virginia has one of the oldest populations, and that sounds all great, you know, like who doesn't like grandma and grandpa, but they're not making babies. So there's more people dying than babies being born. Next one, 40% of the population is obese or fat chicks. So what do you have to attract people to come into the state? What's happening right now is when people go to college and they leave for schooling, they just don't come back. I mean, what is the incentive to come back to West Virginia? Another one is the Democratic DNA. Until the early 2000s, West Virginia was heavily Democrat. That's due to the unions, and it used to be that if you're a union member, you were a Democrat. It kind of went hand in hand. That switched. So what they're going through right now is an identity crisis because you still have those entrenched senators and stuff that think Democrat. A whole bunch of people in power that think Democrat, but that's not what the population wants. So if they're not showing laws that fit their, it's almost like conservative Appalachian working class views, they're going to move if they have the money to. And people are moving out of West Virginia, and that's a big reason why. So to try to combat this, to try to combat their identity crisis, they launched a bill called SB 1071. And that is a bill, so an ordinary civilian, somebody from West Virginia, could pass a background check, and the state police would transfer you a full auto machine gun. Now, there's a whole bunch of questions. Can this happen? Can this go on? The language in 922.0, it says it can. We'll have to see what the Supreme Court says and what the ATF says. Either way, it's a win because either the ATF's going to say, no, you can't do that, and then the state's going to sue, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's going to either have to be like, yeah, it does say that, or it doesn't. Remember, 922.0 is built on a power that Congress didn't have. They have a taxing power, but they did the bill incorrectly. So the bill is essentially unconstitutional. Even pushing that aside, when the ATF got the bill, they interpreted it their own way using Chevron deference, which made it illegal for you to buy a machine gun made after 1986. But that's not how the bill is written. That's their interpretation of the bill, but that's under the Chevron deference law, right? So now that that's gone, there is really no leg for 922.0 to stand on, and that's what West Virginia is testing. Are they just going to let this go through? I think strategically, it would be ideal for the government to do that because then just West Virginians are getting machine guns. Should the government challenge it, the whole United States might wind up being able to get machine guns. So anyways, this bill drops. Now, AmmoLand did a really good article on this. If you want to read it like in geeky detail, that's where you're going to go. But I'm going to just break down and summarize it and regurgitate it in something that's entertaining and easy for you to consume. So, right now, the bill has passed the Senate by a voice vote. That's step one. Well, actually, step one is writing the bill. Step two is probably getting people to sign on to it, which Gun Owners of America did, and they support it, and other senators did. And then step three is getting it passed. Well, that happened with a voice vote. The problem is it was not reported to get a full chamber vote. There is a certain amount of time this bill has to be reported in to get a full chamber vote. Understand, this bill is being segregated. The other bills that got voice votes and passed that section of we're going to call it a barrier. The other bills that passed that barrier, they were reported. This is the only one that wasn't. Right now, there's a guy named Willis who holds the keys. He's the one who's supposed to report this, and he did it. So he could be secretly trying to kill this bill just by not reporting it, but we're all watching this because we're all super interested in it. So, what's going on, Willis? Are you going to report this bad boy or what? And that's basically what we're waiting for because we need a full chamber. Now, once it passes the full chamber, then we need the House. But so far, the way it's going, because remember, the politics switched in West Virginia. They're no longer Democrat. Yes, they have Democrat DNA, and a lot of their laws have Democrat DNA, but that just switched in the early 2000s, and things are slowly being switched over. So it's got the support, right? It should have no problems passing the House. We'll have to see. First, obviously, we have to get past first chamber, but past full chamber. But before that can happen, we have to get past Willis. So, will it pass the House? We'll have to see what happens. However, the governor already basically said that, hey, if this thing makes it to my desk, I'm going to sign on there. So we pretty much got, I shouldn't say we, West Virginia pretty much already has the Senate and the governor's desk. Once Willis gets out of the way, then they just need to get the House. So that's pretty awesome. They're basically there. They've went a lot farther than most bills that are like this. Like, other states have tried different bills. Usually they just die because nobody supports it. All right. Now here's where things get a little bit weird. So they actually have a political organization that's kind of like the GOA or the NRA, and just like the NRA, they started backing off. Like, ooh, that's a little bit too intense for us. And that all comes back to their Democratic DNA. So what's going on? It is the West Virginia Civilian Defense League, otherwise known as the WVCDL. It appears, I don't know, because somebody reached out to them and asked, like, hey, are you endorsing this lobbyist? Like, what's your thoughts? First off, they said they had no opinion on the bill. When your organization is called the West Virginia Civilian Defense League, you better have an opinion on a machine gun bill that could give civilians to defend themselves machine guns, because you want to be paralleled with the actual military. That's the whole point of a militia, is to have equal force as a military, because it is a civilian military in a way. We're not going to go into explaining the militia because it doesn't really matter for this. The point is, you have an organization called West Virginia Civilian Defense League, and you're not going to have an opinion on SB 1071. That right there is pretty wild, but it gets even wilder. One of their lobbyists appears to be opposing this bill, bringing up points like public safety and ATF risk. So the lobbyist is basically like, well, I just don't know if I feel comfortable with a bunch of civilians having machine guns because, you know, I mean, I get the military has 18-year-old boys running around with machine guns, and police officers have machine guns, and Secret Service has machine guns, and SOTs in our state have machine guns, and everybody in the world could basically, well, I shouldn't say world, everybody in the country could basically have machine guns except for civilians, but somehow these old fat chicks are not responsible. Yeah, their offspring, their 18-year-old boys are responsible enough. Their 18-year-old girls are responsible enough. If they want to become a police officer, well, they're responsible enough. If they want to pay $500 to get an SOT, they're responsible enough. But just not paying a $500 check somehow is the difference between responsible and not responsible. I don't know how $500 can make a person responsible. Literally, that's it. You write $500 on a check, you send that to the government, and now you're a responsible person that can have a fully automatic machine gun, but if you don't pay that $500, you're not? I mean, that's pretty ridiculous, because to get one of these machine guns, you'd have to go through the same background process as you would as the person not paying the $500, or if I have $100,000 and I can buy a post-86 machine gun, I'm responsible enough, but I'm not responsible enough if I can only pay $500 for or what would that be, pre-86 machine gun, like $100,000, but I'm not responsible enough if I only have to pay $500 for a post-86 machine gun? What he's basically saying is he don't trust the poors. He only trusts people with money or people in the government with machine guns. Because you, right now, unless you're a prohibited person, can have a full auto machine gun if you got the pocketbook deep enough. Or you can get an SOT if you want to go the cheaper way and get regulated by the government. But you can literally buy, you right now can buy a full auto AK-47, an M60, basically whatever you want depending on how deep your pocketbook is. This just eliminates that. This allows everybody to be able to get a machine gun, not just rich people. This allows your average working class person, your poors, anybody who wants to have a machine gun, as long as they can pass a background check, they're not a prohibited person, they haven't broke any laws, they haven't shown themselves to be violent, they don't have any restraining orders or anything like that, they can buy a machine gun. So, I think that's pretty ridiculous because, yeah, I don't see how that even fits under the 14th Amendment. We'll have to see what happens when 922 goes up to the Supreme Court. The next one is he's going on about ATF risk. That if the state police sell these machine guns, now they're at risk of the firearm and they're at risk of the ATF coming after them. That's not how it works. What's going to happen, pretending this goes through, is the state police are going to buy the machine gun, I'm assuming with the customer's money. They're going to get it. They're going to fill out a machine gun transfer form that the ATF is either going to approve or deny. If they approve it, they are no longer legally liable. It just went on. Yeah, probably MSNBC and CNN is going to be like, they're killing people and the babies and all that stuff. But legally, no, there's no liability. There's no more liability than when I had my SOT if I would have sold somebody a machine gun. I'm not liable for the product after that. Again, we'll have to see what happens, but once you sell it and the ATF approves the transfer, the ATF approved it. If anyone's liable, the ATF is liable. So we'll have to see how that all goes down. Now, I'm hoping for the best. I hope this goes through this way when I finally win my appeal and I'm not under these people's foot and I'm not getting clawed down. If I should happen to want to, I could move to West Virginia. Yeah, I'm going to have to do cardio to keep up with Thanksgiving dinner, but the point is, it's beautiful out there. It's got a very small population. The state's under 2 million people. It's out in the middle of nowhere. So a job like YouTube would be ideal there because I can just move and work remotely and buy a full auto, which would be pretty freaking awesome. And it's not super hot. It's not like Texas. Do you know it's like 350 degrees Kelvin in Texas right now? Yeah. You know what it is here in Wisconsin? Like 26 degrees. That's a huge difference. So, breaking this all down, I think it's a great move for West Virginia. Help solve their identity crisis and be like, hey, we're not Democrat. If you are a conservative and you would like all the freedoms that the Constitution guarantees you, we're going to allow that to happen. Because you know what? We're not going to bow down to the big government. Anyways, let's see how this all pulls down. Now, if you'd like to help support the channel and you don't want to shop at Only Tactical Fans, which I hope you do, but if you don't want to, it's okay. There's another way that doesn't even cost you a penny. Just go down to those affiliate links, click on that Amazon affiliate link. Even if you don't buy what that link is for, just clicking on it and doing the Amazon purchases you were already going to do anyway, I have a kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.